Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Welcome to the Everything is Energy channel with Faith, your today's host. I am a intuitive tarot card reader, life coach slash spiritual coach, and advisor. Those who know the channel, welcome back. And those who are new to the channel, welcome to the Everything is Energy channel with Faith. I will not be using tarot. This is not a tarot card reading. This is my knowledge segment of the channel, as promised. This is going to be, I am at the park, by the way, you guys. I need to get to the park or something. I have to get to the park or somewhere, right? But this is nice. It don't look nice with the angle I got you, because I really should have been by the pond, but it was a little more secluded over here, and it's a huge park, so I'm just going to stay right here. Either way it go, welcome back to the channel. We're covering some subjects, some topics here, and that is witches, or witch, the word witch. We want to see where it come from, or at least when it started, right? And then tarot, how does it relate, and ancient times. We'll talk about why I'm including ancient times in this particular video. But let's start with, I'm going to try to cite as many sources as I feel necessary, but the rest of the stuff, you guys, I'm not making it kind of like let's just go off the top of my head, because it's a knowledge video. But I didn't show myself or get the stuff ready and prepared where I can actually have it a part of your screen. So you guys might have to pause this and write some stuff down if you like. Anyway, let's talk about the word witch, or witches. The reason I want to bring that up is because we want to get the timeline on such a thing, right? We want to know, when did that word origin, right? So witch, the word witch as in Wicca, right? The witchcraft word, I believe it's 890, right? It started in 890, and then later on they acknowledged the men, and then the word warlock, right, came in around 1601. These are from Anglo-Saxon, and this is like the Europeans, right? This came from European times. So, and that's important because we have to go back to ancient times, which is a whole nother thing. We got to get to the bottom of this. We got to get to the bottom of this. So the word witch itself seemed to stem from time of 890. So let's go into Wikipedia real fast. I got it written down, but if you go to Wikipedia, which is, I wouldn't say the most replicable source, but I'm using it because it's pretty popular, and when I checked other sources, it matched, right? So the earliest recorded use of the word is in the laws of Alfred, right, which date to about 890. Like I said, the famine, the Jinrunaya Anfang, Gildo Kraftigan, and Skin Laken, right? And Wiccan, Nilai tu Fa Libin. We're talking like, I believe that's like Latin. And then it was women who were accustomed to receiving enchanters and sorceresses, right? And witches, do not let them live. That's what it says on the site. You can look that up at Wikipedia. I was just more concerned about the date for this particular source, right? And excuse me if I messed up the language, right? But it started in 890. And then if you go on to look up the man's version, that came in around 1601. And that was the word warlock, right? That came in into 1801. So let's go back to how far the magic word goes. So now we're going to just jump real fast to ancient times. We're going to go to ancient Egyptian times, also known as Kemet. And the name Heka was used for magic. It was Heka, H-E-K-A. And that's what magic was called. We'll get back to ancient Egypt, which is also known as Kemet, right? But we'll get back to that. I'm bringing that up for a reason. Now, we're also including tarot in this particular lecture, right? Tarot came about in 1590s, right? And this was also, tarot comes from Europeans, right? This was highly spread all throughout Europe as a game, a card game to play, and everywhere except outside of Britain. But other than Britain, it was widely spread throughout Europe, right? And then you can cite a source called La Mucci Design. They're pretty good at this. I got La Mucci Design, and they're talking about tarot. So one of the questions would be, are tarot cards witchcraft? And the answer, short answer, is no, because tarot does not identify you as a witch, and that's a fact. So we're bringing that point up too, and that's important because a lot of people do tarot, they do not associate with witchcraft or have anything to do with witchcraft. Now the reason I'm bringing this witch word up, if you also do a little more research, which I did not look up that site or source, I just go off the top of my head on this one, this particular thing about witches and brooms, let's just bring that up real fast. Witches and brooms, if you look it up, you would actually realize that witches was associated with brooms due to the fact that they were considered very clean people. They would sweep everything and sweep up and clean up everything, and was associated as a witch due to that, amongst other things. So just letting you know that we're talking about some extremely clean people, and that's how the broom got associated with the word witch. Now, why is Faith bringing this up? For one, I want you guys to know that I do not associate myself as being a witch. I believe it's a derogatory term because the word witch was basically came from the Europeans that did not like that women were able to, like I said, it said they were sorcerers, witches, and they were able to do things outside of, or things that they call taboo and out of norms, such as sorcery and things like that, right? Sorry, I'm reading. So basically, let's get into this, guys. So the word witch we know in 890, and this came up in parts of Europe, right? With the Alfred laws in 890, and known as Wiccan. And like they said, do not let them live. So basically, you were killed if you were considered somebody intuitive that was able to enchant and do different things like this. You were pretty much either burned at the stake or killed in some type of way, which is very demonic energy, if you ask me, that someone would have to lose their life. Also, throughout this lecture, just a heads up, I won't be here too long because, for one, my camera going to go 32 minutes and I can't plug up where I'm at, so my battery likes to act funny. But we do have it fully charged and we're getting up into this. So let's go here. Let's go into the we'll be going into the Bible too. So let's start. Okay, so basically, if somebody was intuitive, if somebody was able to enchant or feel energy or do anything that was considered supernatural to the Europeans, right? The Anglo-Saxons, they were, you can look this up, you guys, it's not hard to find out. Anywhere you look up witch, you're going to find out it come from Europe, just like the tarot cards come from Europe. We'll get into other tools of divination and things like that. The tarot cards is part of what I do, so I researched a lot of this before I even touched a tarot card. I do research all the time, make sure I don't do anything that is outside of natural order and law. Now, divination is not considered witchcraft or nothing like that. You would have to consider yourself a witch. Now, the reason I believe the word is derogatory, because the word was used as something to put people down who was able to have psychic abilities or enchant or do anything that was supernatural. Now, the reason that's important, it was also used to identify these women. We're talking about women now when we use the word witches, but we can also, let's just say witches and warlocks, but women definitely suffered greatly at the hand of the European due to being intuitive and knowing things, right? They suffered greatly to death, meaning they killed these people. And men were killed too, a small amount. You can look that up. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm an ancient being from ancient times. I am an ancient Egyptian. My people, my bloodline comes from that. And the reason that's important to me, because that's my people's history that was taken from me. Just like the words in the Bible saying that things we believed and did were considered pagan. Now, there's one scholar I definitely want you guys to look up when it pertains to ancient Egypt. And please, guys, if you want to come for me in the comments, please feel free to do so. But I'm not about to argue with non-African people about who the Egyptian was. I'm not even about to argue with African people. I get this a lot. I don't want to hear it. Instead, go do your research and then come back to me. A person I'd like to refer you guys to is Dr. Ben. So Dr. Yusuf Ben, I want everybody to look him up. I'm not even going to give you a particular video. It's so much out there on Dr. Yusuf Ben Yuccahanan, right? Or Jokanan. I don't know why I said Yuccahanan. But Dr. Ben Jokanan, right? Just Dr. Ben for short. You can look this scholar up who is a doctor in Egyptology. He is an Egyptologist, right? And that's another point that should be brought out. Why is Egypt the only geographical location that has an actual science to it? We'll get into that when we get into ancient times. So when we're dealing with the word witch, we're talking about people who are known to have certain magical abilities, right? So the reason I brung the date 890 and 1601 in as far as the warlock is because we need to know how far it go back. As an ancient people, my history goes back long and far. No offense, it's thousands of years old. So when the Bible speaks of Egypt, it's looking at this Egypt, aka Kemet, as a pagan place due to the magic, right? Due to the beliefs and the so-called people considering themselves gods and things like that, right? So the main thing is, just because if you're a tarot reader or watching tarot or anything to do, does not mean the person who's doing tarot is a witch or associate themselves as a witch at all. A witch does not mean anybody that does this work. It means someone who associates themselves as this work. Let's go to Leviticus really fast. Leviticus 19:26. Ye shall not use enchantment nor observe times. Leviticus 20:27. A man also or a woman that has a familiar spirit or that is a wizard shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. That is Exodus. Says thou shalt not suffer a witch. Exodus 22:18, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. So we have Exodus 22:18, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. We have Leviticus 19:26, ye shall not use enchantment nor observe times, meaning like look into the future, past, or present, right? Leviticus 20:27, a man also or woman that has a familiar spirit or that is a wizard shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. Again, just like I read to you in Wikipedia, it's death to anyone who does this. It's death to anyone who make it known that they know this. Now, that's going back to European times. We understand that Europeans have ways to get rid of people, right? And I'm not being offensive to people who have that heritage. I keep it real here on this channel. If you don't want to deal with the truth, or you don't want to do the research on your own, which I encourage, then probably click off the channel. Or, I mean, you come at me at your own risk. I mean, I don't play a lot of games. I don't. So I'm here to spread the knowledge and get it wide, especially for my people in our culture, because we were stripped. As an African American person, we were stripped of things when we got here and put in slavery and things like that. They stripped us of our culture, of our belief system, right? That's very important, how we believe things spiritually and how we do things and custom things. We were stripped of so many things, but it was my responsibility, stripped or not, to go back to see what I believe, or at least study what they're telling me to believe in and make sure it's right? Because I'll have to question you if you're the type of people who can do such things to people for over 300 years. I got to question to see if what you're teaching me is right, because it's hard to trust that, right? Now, here, because how you behave and treat people, right? So let's go into Exodus 6, right? Therefore say the Israelites, listen to this, guys. This is the Bible Gateway, Exodus 6. Here we go. Therefore, say to the Israelites, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. I will free you from being slaves to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with mighty acts of judgment. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Let's break that down a little bit, guys. This is from the Bible. Again, Exodus 6, right? So, therefore, say to the Israelites, right? Who are the Israelites? Well, let's pay attention. They said, say to the Israelites. Now, you already know that I've already said the ancient Egyptians are African people, dark African people, some of them light, but these are black people. Got time to play with that until they were conquered and things were made to look like it may have not been, but it's been discovered again. Refer back to Dr. Ben. No time. He's an Egyptologist who's been there several times and took several tours of people there to see. And you still see them to this day. In fact, these people in Egypt even not just saved their bodies and mummies, they saved their hair so you could, because they knew, remember, they could see into the future. These very magical people, right? They knew their history would be lost. That's why everywhere you go it says, know thyself. See, they knew because they could see what was about to happen. So, know thyself. They even saved their hair, and their hair is as nappy as mine. Not with these dreads are nappier than mine, even, you know. And it's not about that. It's about this Afrocentric hair and different things that you can see that these people who were called primitive and things like that were actually African people. The ones y'all call dumb today are not all of you guys. I get a lot of comments. I do a lot of things behind the scenes on social media. I was even told not too long ago from a Caucasian man that he can't wait until slavery come back so I can massage his feet. So I told him to give me his address so I can come. I'll massage his feet right now. I do it for him right now, and I'll pull up right now. He didn't comment back, so I'm still waiting. I will fly out to wherever he is. I don't care if he way in Egypt or Europe. I'll go to him. I will massage your feet. I'm on my way. Anyway, back to this. So the reason we're breaking this down is we want to hear this. Therefore, say to the Israelites. They said, say to the Israelites. This is people saying, you tell the Israelites this. It says, I am the Lord. Hold on. Did somebody just say, telling people that they are the Lord? They didn't say the Lord from up above, because the word Lord, when used in the Bible, actually referred to the way they spoke at that time. You can look up the timeline, look up the language and what they used at that time, especially in the King James Version. So when they say the word Lord, it was like your lordship, just like in royalty or talking about a judge, just how they spoke. So they said, I am the Lord. They said, therefore, say to the Israelites. And if you know the Hebrew Israelites, that a lot of people like, and a lot of people do not, right? But they like to point out who these Israelites was as well. I don't, prescribe to that, but I do know why they believe the way they do. But our history is greater than that. However, they said, say to the Israelites, I am Lord. Basically, they wanted to instill their beliefs and become like these people of Egypt, who was very great people, right? Who, like we already said, went around and even called themselves gods. Source is within. So they said, tell them that I am Lord. You can look this up. This is Exodus 6. It says, and I will bring you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. Ancient Kemet's, right? I will free you from being slaves to them. By the way, there is documented history. There never was any slavery in Egypt, right? Those people were paid, and that's documented and has been brought out in the History Channel and other places, and you can look it up, right? They were paid low wages at that time, but they were not slaves. They were paid employees, right? Let's get that clear. They did not enslave people, but the Bible does lead you to believe that. We'll get this stuff cleared. We're going to get it clear. And it says, I will free you from being slaves to them, and I will redeem you with an outreach arm and with mighty acts of judgment. They're going to redeem these people. Now, we didn't hear nothing almighty or nothing from the direct source come. All we heard was say, I am the Lord, right? They said, therefore, say to the Israelites, I am the Lord, meaning my beliefs are more superior than yours. So you need to step idol God worshiping versus mono God worshiping. All right, we'll get into that. Okay, one is like mono versus poly. Okay, listen. One means you only serve one God, right? Some may believe Jehovah is his name, right? So basically, the other one means you are uh, not idol. I meant mono God worshiping, where you worship one God, and the other one was when they're actually not worshiping one God, but worshiping more than one God. So it said, basically, I will redeem you with an outreach arm and with mighty acts of polytheism, monotheism, and polytheism. Sorry, I kind of got off the point, so my brain stuck a minute because as I talk, so much information is coming to me at one time, but that's not what's written down. So let's start to stick to the game plan. But that's when one God versus many gods, right? And it said, I will redeem you with an outreach arm and with mighty acts of judgment. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Look that up, guys. That's directly from your book, the Bible, Exodus 6. It said, I will free you from being slaves to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with mighty acts of judgment. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Did y'all hear that? I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Why is that important? See, when I read this book, I use a lot of critical thinking. So I use my brain to break things down. I don't just accept, or if I don't understand something, leave it alone. We break this stuff down like mathematics, right? So basically, when you're being told, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians, but then you say, I'm going to free you from slaves, and now we know there were no slaves, right? So what were they really freeing them to? They were freeing them from their own belief systems. They wanted to take over and conquer people, right? And it says, I will take you as my own people, right? Why would the source need to take people as their own people? That's don't even make sense. This was an actual people speaking, you guys. And it said, I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Now that's important if you go back in the history, because yes, it is very. I say possible because the way it's worded is a little sketchy. But yes, there even in the Bible it tells you sources within. So even right now in modern times, I go around calling me a goddess because naturally source comes in me. That's sacred geometry. Everybody is every natural organic being, it comes directly from the source. And with that, there's like a biblical cord. You can see it throughout nature that their whole goal and this whole obstacle course of the matrix is about getting back to the source, right? That's what it is. It's like a biblical cord. You never was directly disconnected. That's why you have the ability to sin. So why is it important to look at this Exodus 6? And because you want to know what the heck was going on here when the Bible says stay out of these things, right? Where it said they were freeing them and they were going to redeem them and will take you as my own people. That sounds like cultures to me. That sounds like ethnicities to me, or something like that. Somebody wants to take you as their own people, which I think as a slavery descendant, I can understand that I was given things that I just didn't believe, led to act ways that I just never act or do, and use language that I never use, and strip me of my own name. So that will take you as my own people. If you listen to the Hebrew Israelites, they call the Israelites black people, the real Jews. Again, I do not subscribe to that belief system. I do understand why they do that. But honestly, the Jews come in from Hellenization. That's another time in history we can go through that. And the Jews today are here, but they're Greeks. And that's how they sustain the Jews it's a long story, guys. I will have to get to that in another video. However, let's just say that instead of the Israelites, I would like to say the chosen people, okay? I ain't got no tie, no waist. So they wanted to take these people and basically, I will take you as my own people and I will be your God. And that's what they did. They came in, they conquered Egypt, right? These Greeks did that. You can look that up too. No time to play or waste. Look this up. And when they came and conquered Egypt, you can even see it. It's all type of, and I'm not being funny to anybody who subscribes to this lifestyle. However, the homosexuality and the open sexuality is depicted on walls of Egypt since the Greeks had taken over. It was not the original Egyptians. You can look at those people. They look nothing like the other scribes and depictions of the original Egyptian. That was after colonization. Make that clear. Just saying. Period. Now moving on. The reason that was important is because we do want to know and break down the Bible and how does it pertain, because a lot of people do, I see people do tarot and stuff, and they do include, they may say a prayer in the name of Jesus Christ and different things, but they know clear as day that the Bible said it's a no. So does the Bible say not to go back to Egypt? Let's read this. It says, woe to those who go down to Egypt for help, who rely on horses, who trust in the multitude of their chariots and the great strength of their horsemen, but do not look to the Holy One of Israel, or seek help from the Lord. Yet he too is wise and can bring disaster. He does not take back his words. Bible Gateway, Isaiah 31. You can see that as Isaiah 31. They said, Faith, why did you read that? Why was that important? Because I wanted you guys to see again where they were taken over. They wanted you to look at them as the Lord, but they were smart. They used the word Lord because they knew what they were talking about, but they knew they would teach it in a way that you would take the Lord as the Most High, the Creator, the Source, God, right? But really, those times they talked in your Lordship. That's how they spoke. You can look up their language. Very important to do research. And when you do research on a mastery level, like for example, when I study my master's in psychology, we do APA style, American Psychological Association. That's a writing style. That thing's like mathematics itself. We cite every source, right? Which I'm kind of not like doing right now. I'm not citing every source. Only got a little time. Plus, I'm looking for free thinkers, people who are able to do their own research. Don't just take my word from it. I break this stuff down. Now, real fast, we're going to go into Leviticus 18:3. Check this out. On the top of that, Egypt had an elaborate religious system. The pagan nature of the land was very evident. Kings were considered to be gods, and superstition was common. After the Israelites escaped slavery in Egypt, the Bible instructed them not to follow the ways of Egypt. Again, the Bible telling you not to follow the ways of Egypt, that magic was used or should not be used amongst religious people. Now, I'm not talking to you religious people and talking down on you. Sometimes it does in my videos seem like I mock things, because I do, because I'm an ancient, right? So I know where this stuff comes from. I know that the Bible is a plagiarism from Egypt. Again, Egypt is the only one with its own science base connected to it. Egyptologists. We'll get in that in a minute. So let's go here to the Walters Art Museum, right? Let's go over this real fast. Magic in ancient Egypt was not a parlor trick or illusion. It was the harnessing of the powers of natural laws, conceived as supernatural entities in order to achieve a certain goal. To the Egyptians, Kemets, a world without magic was inconceivable. It was through magic that the world had been created. Magic sustained the world daily. Magic healed when one was sick, gave when one had nothing, and assured one of eternal life after death. The Egyptologist James Henry Bristol has famously remarked how magic infused every aspect of ancient Egyptian life and was as much a matter of course as sleep or the preparation of food. Magic was present in one's conception, birth, life, death, and afterlife, and was represented by a god who was older than creation. Heka, H-E-K-A. Remember, that's the Egyptian, aka Kemet. I use the word Kemet, but to communicate, I'm using Egyptian in Egypt. But the original word for it is Kemet. These are ancient Kemites, right? And the grandfather to ancient Kemet, also known as Egypt, is the Cushites, right? That's the grandmother. The Egyptians just mastered this shit, but it was all around African culture, including the Sumerians, right? The Dogons, the Olmecs, the Aztecs, the Mayans. You can go back to the National Geographic Channel, even the History Channel shows that every culture in there, when you went and uncovered those walls, you went in deep before they colored them light, that those were the so-called primitive African people who are dumb to this day, right? Now, I had somebody tell me not too long ago that we couldn't have been the ancient Egyptians because African people are too dumb. Too dumb where? Where? Because if you go ahead and check your own stats, out of 120 something countries, who do you think is number one in education? It's not Asia, that's for sure. It ain't China, and you know damn well it ain't America. Let's not be stupid. It is the African countries. Several African countries are the most intelligent people, speak the most language out of all the other countries. Go look that up. I don't have to make it up. And I'm not talking down on people, but things have to be set straight. And it would make sense since these are very ancient, original people. Primitive and all this stuff don't mean dumb. So we got to cut that out. We do. Okay, let's get into this too when we talk about the ancient times and the Africans being dumbed down. Let's just talk about the African American women who over 150 years ago were enslaved, and it was illegal for them to read. Literally, we could not learn. We were beat down. I don't know why you would breed a primitive people who are dumb down, and if they try to learn something, unless you knew they were smart and they would pick the shit up. Clearly they did, because over 50 years straight, and you can look this up, right? African American women, and I'm not talking down on my men, we love them too, right? However, those women are the highest educated and hold the highest degrees in America today. They literally hold the highest degrees and education to this day. The same people who had to play catch up now has more degrees than you have under your own educational system. So dumb is not a real thing. Genius run in my bloodline, and that's period. This is not a racist video. This is an informative video. Take it or leave it. But I encourage everybody to go ahead and look their own things up. That will make most sense, okay? Now we're going back into, let's see, I had a while back as I started this, I had something I wanted to read to you guys. Here we go. So let's look up this, the collector.com. Look at the collector.com, magic and ancient world, Egyptian deities and uses. You can look that up. Now let's go over that. It says the name Heka, or Heka, is actually the old Egyptian word for magic and describes the supernatural forces that ancient Egyptians believed created and permitted the universe. Do you hear me? The word Heka means as using the Ka. Remember the Ka, the Ba, the spirit and the soul. But that's, hold on, let me go back to verbatim. The word Heka translates as using the Ka. In ancient Egyptian religion, Ka refers to the divine spirit that protects a person. Okay, now the reason I say that is because I wanted you guys to hear that part where they said that